is MSNBC, the fastest growing cable news channel. Global breaking news.
Breaking news at this hour.
This is a big story.
It is history in the making.
A series of explosions rocked central London this morning during rush hour.
Riot police clashed with demonstrators in Paris last night following a decisive victory by conservative Nicolas Sarkozy.
26,000 troops to be sent to the Darfur region of Sudan.
Wildfires in Greece have been burning out of control for 3 days.
Breaking news out of Africa. From the Chinese capital of Beijing.
Iran, Nigeria,
Pakistan,
Sudan,
Somalia, North Korea.
We are literally with the troops.
You can hear the artillery fire.
This is MSNBC Countdown with Keith Olbermann.
Our fifth story on the countdown. Algeria, more than 2,000 dead after last Wednesday's earthquake. London's subway. Early this morning, 3 bombs went off on rush hour subways and a 4th detonated on a double-decker bus above ground. The U.S. strike against al-Qaeda suspects in Somalia. Among the targets, a senior al-Qaeda leader in East Africa and another al-Qaeda operative believed to be responsible for the 1998 bombings of American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania.
Olbermann knows how to do news best.
All of what goes on in our world today matters. People who don't believe in global warming have said everything to you and about the science. If it is as dire as you suggest in the book and in the movie, why do you remain optimistic that we have time to do something about it? If you were president today, as opposed to January 2009, what would you do as we finish this interview about Iraq?
He has found a point of view and he isn't afraid to use it.
You've got to get mad! How dare you or those around you ever spin 9/11? Ask yourself this. If you are pulled off the street tomorrow and they call you an alien or an undocumented immigrant or an unlawful enemy combatant, exactly how are you going to convince them to give you a court hearing to prove you are not? Come on!
Television's most entertaining and unpredictable newscast.
We pause our countdown to the silliness we're calling real news to bring you the silliness we call weird news. It's a viral video from China, home of NBA great Yao Ming. But don't let that fool you. There, they are still working on the basics. When comedy and news collide.
Now the hardball starts.
This is MSNBC Hardball with Chris Matthews.
This is so inspiring. Of course, we do politics here quite a bit.
Whip smart and genuinely knowledgeable about politics.
I've been watching politics since I was 5 years old and loving it. I think politics at its best is a battle of ideas where one person with some guts and some belief takes on someone else with some guts and belief, and those who watch get to decide who's right. How will you be different in any way from President George W. Bush? You afraid of Hillary?
Am I afraid of her?
You're afraid of Hillary?
Come on.
You're afraid to take her on. I'm like so.
No, you're trying any way you can get me, right?
Chris Matthews is must-see TV.
North Korea restarts its primary nuclear reactor. Tonight we'll get reaction from around the world. The war in the Mideast continues in full force. Today, Hezbollah fired more rockets into Israel, and at least 23 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon. MSNBC has reporters in the region, and we will get a full report. I'll be back here in the old city of Jerusalem with my interview with some surprisingly upbeat Israeli young people. Actress Mia Farrow has just returned from Darfur. What did you experience over there?
Well, the situation is, if anything, more deplorable and is disintegrating fast.
What do they want, or you want the government to do?
What has to happen and happen fast is a UN peacekeeping force has to come in.
Will they welcome an outside force into their continent?
Somebody has to come in there.
A feisty interviewer.
I'm going to be a little tough with you right now, okay?
You mean unlike usual?
You want to fight?
This is good. This is good.
Okay,
You guys
let's
keep
start
going.
it. How can you pass a law if this president won't sign it? Well, that's a tough question. It takes a few words.
Get out of my face.
Why should the Arabs believe that our occupation of Iraq will be any more beneficial to them than the Israeli occupation of the West Bank? You think bin Laden is in your country?
I hope he's not.
Are we going to have cheaper prices for oil in November or October? Are you going to make good on your deal?
I think.
Are you going to make good on this deal?
Number one, Chris, there was no deal.
So we're not going to
And
get
number
cheaper
two,
oil.
damn if I do, damn if I
Why
don't.
don't you make a deal with me now? Why don't you, can you do that? Can you deliver cheaper prices? Can you get it down to 25? Where have you been for 35 years, sir?
Hiding under a rock.
Let's play hardball.
This is MSNBC Live with Dan Abrams.
Warning. You may find the following video disturbing.
MSNBC's fastest growing program.
It's an international incident as France refuses to turn over an American accused of killing his doctor. Some big names, including Barack Obama, are getting involved in the case. Breaking developments in the case of missing 4-year-old Madeleine McCann. Portuguese police are recommending that prosecutors charge Madeleine's mother, Kate McCann, a doctor, with manslaughter. It was supposed to be Britney's big comeback. Britney bombed. I'll leave it that ambiguous. Britney seemed nervous, the MTV Music Awards, and at times so out of it that you wondered if she knew where she was or if she knew the words to her own song. My take. How did the people around her allow this to happen last night? She has a manager, a record label, a lot to lose. Why didn't someone say, hey, you're not ready to perform? Tattoo crackdown. The military and police now limiting the number of tattoos its rank and file can display or even have. My take. Sure, some regulation makes sense. A cop with a visible swastika tattoo or a naked woman on his forearm shouldn't be permitted to display it. Now look, I've never had a tattoo, never even considered getting one. I like the Army's policy. It's simple and permissive. Recruits can have tattoos unless they're offensive. Time for tonight's winners and losers. Our first loser, lawmakers in Bolivia, who flexed their muscles in an all-out brawl on the floor of Congress. The rival congressman threw wild punches during a heated debate over judges and corruption. At least one was injured, but it did put Bolivia back in the headlines for more than just one type of blow. Our first winner, the 165 passengers and crew of a China Airlines flight that burst into flames today in Japan. The plane skidded on the runway after landing. Passengers had just minutes to escape, and incredibly, everyone on board survived. Time for tonight's Beat the Press, our daily look back at the absurd and sometimes amusing perils of live TV. Payback can be tough. Back in 2003, President Bush fell off a Segway scooter. The British tabloid newspaper The Daily Mirror thought it was pretty ridiculous and ran this headline. You'd have to be an idiot to fall off, wouldn't you, Mr. President? And added, if anyone can make a pig's ear of riding a sophisticated self-balancing machine like this, W can. Well, it seems karma can last for years. Piers Morgan, the editor of that newspaper at the time, made a pig's ear of himself by falling off a Segway at Santa Monica Beach. He broke 3 ribs.
This is MSNBC, award-winning exclusive documentary.
If I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
He certainly has his issues, mentally and psychiatrically.
If I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing.
I would like to kill her myself. Dead.
It's on the tape. There's no disputing that it happened.
I'm going to get this footage, and then I'm going to do something with it.
The last chance the victim has to speak is through the autopsy examination.
I've seen so many ugly things.
I'm pushing my luck. I'm probably going to get hurt over here.
Back up! There was a serial killer at large in the 5 boroughs of New York.
I found myself not wanting to be outdoors, especially at night.
He was stalking people that didn't know that they were going to be the victims.
He's got to be tortured and killed.
Shots are being fired. We kept yelling to the policemen for help. They couldn't do anything.
This guy is not going down. He's got heavy body armor. Go for the head.
Get out front! Put your head behind your back!
Prison is not no good place.
I'm not a very violent person, but I can be violent when I want to.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
You gotta love it.
Honest.
The facts are so important.
In depth.
There is still a lot of fire coming at us.
Global.
Wherever the story goes, we'll take you there.
This is MSNBC, the fastest growing cable news channel. But don't just take our word for it. The numbers speak for themselves.
Here we go.
Last year, MSNBC was up 8%. CNN was down 7%. And Fox News was down 14%.
You ain't heard nothing yet.
And MSNBC's ratings continue to be on a roll.
They say our victory is old news, and yet they just keep making it new again.
MSNBC is up 20%.
We're all trying to get our ratings up, but this is ridiculous.
Reaching 90 million U.S. households, MSNBC is #1 with adults 18 to 34.
Number one, right. Thank you.
#1.
And with shows like Countdown with Keith Olbermann always delivering buzzworthy commentary.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
It's no wonder MSNBC's primetime.
All primetime.
All of primetime.
Had the strongest adult and total viewer growth of any cable news network.
Well, that was an intellectual exercise.
This is MSNBC, and this is MSNBC Africa.